ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशकारिणे। नमो महाविधन्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरहस्यै नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रि। यं ब्रह्मवरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुता स्तुवन्ति दिव्यैस्त्वयि वेदे साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदे गायन्ति यं सामगा। ध्यानवस्थिततद्गतेन मनसः पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुर्सुरसुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Okay, Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome everyone. So last time, what did we discuss last time? Rasa Leela. Did we really discuss Rasa Leela? We discussed the Rasa Leela Tattva, not really Rasa Leela. Because for us, what is more important to understand is what is the meaning of Rasa Leela. Who is Krishna and who are all these gopis who performed this Rasa Leela? It's not like any mundane dance, boys and girls dancing together. What we have these days, filmy song, hero and heroine dancing together, circling around the trees, ballroom dance, or what do you call that as these days in school, high school, what is it? Home welcoming or whatever that's called, homecoming. So it's not like any this mundane dance between ordinary boy and girl. So Rasa Panchadhyay in Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of the whole Bhagavatam. So first of all, we said 10th canto of Bhagavatam is like the beautiful face of Krishna. And in that 10th canto, this Rasa Panchadhyay is the essence of that. And among that Rasa Panchadhyay, the 5 chapters, the Gopi Geet is the essence of that. And among the Gopi Geet, this one very particular verse, Tava Katha Amritam, Tapta Jivanam, that is the essence of the whole Gopi Geet also. So it's the essence of whole Bhagavatam. So this Rasa Panchadhyay, what is the flow of that Rasa Panchadhyay? Krishna, on that beautiful full moon night of autumn season, Krishna plays on his flute and attracts the mind of all the gopis. Krishna thinks, I need to fulfill my promise which I made with the gopis, that on that one particular night I'm going to fulfill their desire. So Krishna plays on the flute, calls all the gopis, whatever they were doing. Somebody is cooking food, somebody is feeding to the child, somebody is serving the husband, somebody is serving the family members, Sas Sasur, somebody is brooming the house, somebody is taking shower, somebody is decorating herself. Whatever they were doing, they just left everything and they ran towards Krishna. And if they were resisted, if somebody tried to stop them, because of Krishna's Yogamaya potency, they left their material body on the side of their family member and they went on their Bhavatmak Sharir. And when all the gopis came to Krishna, what did Krishna say? Why have you come here? In the dead of the night, in the forest. ये कोई बगीचा नहीं है, कोई घूमने का स्थान नहीं है. Why all you have come here? You should go back and serve your husband, serve your family member. That is the topmost duty for the woman. And all the gopis, they were heartbroken. They spoke to Krishna, why are you being so cruel? You are sitting in everybody's heart as Paramatma. Don't you understand? With your words like this, how much pain we are feeling? We understand the duty of the woman, the highest duty is to serve their family member, to serve their husband. But because of our pativrata only, we have got this benefit, the benediction to be in your association. You are the actual husband for everybody. So we discussed the gopis, they understand who Krishna is. They are not attracted towards Krishna just thinking him also often as some ordinary boy or very handsome boy, बहुत सुंदर छोकरा है, Nand Baba Yashoda Maiya ka. So they are attracted towards some handsome boy. They know who is Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and they quote, right? They quote so many different things. They say Lakshmi Devi is always trying to serve your lotus feet. Brahma is trying to get the dust of your lotus feet. And we also want to serve your lotus feet. So they know who is Krishna. He is the Supreme Lord of everybody. And then when Krishna finally, he agreed, and then Krishna had that rasa dance with the gopis. Krishna expanded himself with as many gopis. And Krishna is dancing with all the gopis. Everybody is thinking Krishna is with me only. Krishna siraf mera hai. And when they got that pride in the heart, Krishna left everybody. So गोपियों को क्या हुआ? गोपियों को अभिमान हुआ और राधा रानी के हृदय में मान हुआ. Radha Rani रूठ गई. So Radha Rani went and Krishna went behind Radha Rani, leaving all the gopis behind. And now all the gopis, so that is the second chapter of Ras Panchadhyay. So first chapter is whatever I described now. Second chapter is now all the gopis are searching for Krishna. Saying we got that benediction, we were with Krishna, but now because we got this pride in the heart, Krishna has left us. And he has gone away. And they are searching for Krishna. And while searching for Krishna, they are imitating the different pastimes of Krishna. How Krishna killed Putana. How Krishna killed Chaktasura. How Krishna killed Tarnavrata. How Krishna was bound by the rope of Mother Yashoda during that Damodar Leela. How Krishna will go to the house of other gopis and he will steal the butter. How Krishna killed Bakasura. So they are all imitating all those pastimes. Somebody becomes Krishna and somebody becomes Bakasura. And she imitate like I am breaking the beak of Bakasura. And then killing Pralambasura and all that. So they are imitating all these pastimes. Then while searching for Krishna, they are wandering in the forest. They see the footsteps of Krishna along with the footstep of another gopi. Who is that? Radharani. So they see the footprints of Krishna and they see the footprints of Radharani, and how they are able to recognize these footprints? Because there are special signs, special marks in the footprint of Krishna and in the footprint of Radharani. So they understand, see, this is the footprint of Krishna and another gopi who is very dear to Krishna. Anyo aradhitam nunam. Krishna is being served by this Anya gopi. He is being served very nicely and he has chosen to go with her alone, leaving all us behind. And then they see on one place, it is only the footprints of toes of Krishna. So they are thinking Krishna maybe stepped on his toes and he is trying to pluck the nice flowers to decorate this another gopi. Here Krishna maybe sat with Radharani and he is trying to decorate Radharani. And another place they reach, they see only one footprint, one pair of footprints. Maybe Krishna lifted Radharani in his lap and he is carrying Radharani. So as they are just wandering in the forest, then they see another gopi, Radharani, also standing there. So Radharani, because she also started thinking, oh, Krishna is with me only. Radharani told Krishna, I am very tired now. You lift me up on your shoulder. So Krishna bent to lift Radharani and Radharani tried to get on the shoulder and Krishna disappeared. So Krishna disappeared from Radharani's association also, and Radharani is also standing there. All the gopis come there, they see Radharani, and now all of them together, they are searching for Krishna. Then there it starts the third chapter of Rasa Panchadhyay. They are all singing. That is called the Gopi Geet. So that is the third chapter. And in the third chapter, that is the verse. Tav katha amritam tapta jivanam kabhi bhiriditam kalmashapaham shravana mangalam shrimadattatam bhuvi granantiye bhurida jana. We have discussed this verse many times, so I will not get into that again. So after they are searching for Krishna, they are singing this Gopi Geet, Krishna again appears in front of them. And all of them become so happy. What is their reaction? That is the fourth chapter of Ras Panchadhyay. All the gopis, how they respond. Somebody runs towards Krishna, try to embrace Krishna. Somebody goes and just hold on to the feet of Krishna. Somebody just standing there looking at the beautiful face of Krishna, and through the doors of their eyes, they take Krishna inside their heart. And inside their heart, they are embracing Krishna. Somebody just goes and hangs on Krishna's neck like a garland. So all these different gopis, they all become so happy again in the association of Krishna. So their reaction, that is the 4th chapter of Rasa Panchadhyay, and the 5th chapter of Rasa Panchadhyay is again Krishna with all these gopis. He goes on the banks of Yamuna. There Krishna had sweet talks with all these gopis, and then final Maharasa dance. So that is Rasa Panchadhyay. Just in brief summary, I described. So the previous topic which we discussed last session was understanding in Tattva, so we don't mistakenly think it as some mundane love affair. Gopis, what is the mood of gopis towards Krishna? And the example which I gave to kind of understand this, these 3 Leela happened in connection. Govardhan Leela, then before that, what was the Leela before Govardhan Leela? No, before, after Kaliya and before Govardhan. Stealing the clothes of gopis. Vastraharan Leela. So I mentioned this Vastraharan Leela, Govardhan Leela and Rasa Leela. They are in connection. And what is the connection? How these 3 Leelas are in connection? Prasad Prabhu put that question in the quiz. So if you want to understand, you can hear the recording back. So moving on next, what are the topics coming up next? Now Krishna has little bit time left in Braja. Krishna is going to move on to his Leela. His another Mathura Leela is coming. Vrindavan Leela is going to end soon. So our today's topic is the remaining part of Vrindavan Leela. Tomorrow or the next Saturday, we are preparing to take Krishna to Mathura. Akrurji is going to come. So that's what we are going to discuss today, the remaining part of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. So this Rasa Leela, Rasa dance happened for many nights, many months. Krishna will call out to the gopis and Krishna has play on his flute. All the gopis become attracted, they come, and then Krishna and Balram, sometime Balram is also with Krishna and they will dance. And gopis are playing all the different instruments. Somebody is playing mridanga, somebody is playing cymbal, somebody is playing harmonium. So you see that Radha Krishna Ashtasakhi picture, right? There's a famous painting. So all these different gopis have different instruments, different ways they are serving Radha and Krishna. So once Radha and Krishna, they were having these leelas, and a demon named Shankachuda, or he is also addressed as Shankasura, he appeared at that point. And who is this Shankachuda? He is actually one of the Yaksha of Kuvera. Kuvera is the master of all the Yakshas. And who is Kuvera? Treasurer of demigods. Right? Devataon ka khajanchi. So Kuvera, one of his Yaksha is Shankachuda. And this Shankachuda had a very costly jewel on his forehead. Shankar. The jewel is like in the shape of a conch shell. So this Shankachuda, he came at that spot because he was too much puffed up with his opulences. He thought, I am the most powerful, I should be enjoying with these gopis. These gopis should be my property, and he started to steal away those gopis as if they were his personal property. In front of Krishna, he started to kind of, with his danda, his stick, he started to take the gopis away as a cowherd man. और जैसे कोई होता है ना बकरियां चराने वाला, वो अपनी स्टिक के साथ क्या करता है, सब बकरियों को हांग कर ले जाता है. So he started doing same way. He started to take the gopis away, and all these gopis are calling out to Krishna, 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 please protect us. And Krishna said, do not worry, I'm coming. So Krishna, he ran behind this Shankachuda. And Shankachuda, when he saw Krishna coming behind, Shankachuda thought, I am no match for Krishna. I am no match for the power of Krishna. So he left the gopis and he ran. And Krishna told Balramji, you stay here, you take care of gopis, you protect them. I will go behind this Shankachuda to punish him. So Krishna ran behind Shankachuda. And Krishna, with one punch, Krishna killed the Shankachuda. He kind of cut off his head along with that jewel. So Krishna brought that jewel from the forehead of the Shankachuda. Originally Krishna thought, I will present this jewel to Radharani. But Radharani is with all other gopis also. So all other gopis will feel bad. Krishna is giving this to only one particular. So Krishna presented that jewel to Balramji. So you take this jewel. So that is the pastime when this Shankachuda tried to steal away the gopis and Krishna protected all these gopis. What does this Shankachuda represent? Actually, in the writings of Jiva Goswami, he describes this pastime in a different way. He says the Shankachuda actually had stolen this jewel from Kuvera. And then he ran from there, he took shelter of Kamsa. So this Shankachuda had also made allied with Kamsa. And Kamsa, because he was trying to send so many demons to attack on Vrindavan, and he will send many spies also sometime. So he had heard about Krishna and Balram, that these two boys, they are killing all these demons. So far, Kamsa, he knows about Krishna, but he does not know Krishna is son of Vasudeva and Devaki. He is thinking Krishna is son of Nanda and Yashoda, but he is killing all these demons, whatever are sent to Vrindavan. And Kamsa will sometimes send his spies also. And two of his spies were Arishtasura and Keshi. So before this Shankachuda pastime happened, Arishtasura and Keshi, they came to spy on Vrindavan. And they saw that this Radharani, she is very beautiful. And Krishna is having his pastimes with Radharani. He is having loving exchanges with Radharani. And they reported back to Kamsa, this girl, she is very beautiful. She is the perfect match for you actually. She should be with you. And Kamsa got this desire to steal away Radharani, to kidnap Radharani and bring to her. And that's why the Shankachuda was sent, to kidnap away the gopis along with Radharani and bring it to Kamsa. So Krishna killed this Shankachuda and protected all the gopis. So what does this Shankachuda represent? As I mentioned, every time we discuss, our goal is not to just listen the pastime, the Leela. Leela we may describe very briefly. But the main purpose is to understand what these demons represent in terms of anartha. Okay, what kind of anartha this demon represent and how we can be protected from that anartha. So what does this Shankachuda represent? Envy, okay. Lust, vasana. Greed, okay. All these envy, lust, greed, most of the demons, they represent that, right? So Shankachuda in particular actually, if we understand what Acharyas are trying to explain, they say Shankachuda represents the tendency to have this puja la pratishtha, the tendency for fame, glorification, and also it represents the tendency of sensuous enjoyment in the garb of bhakti. Shankachuda wanted to take away Radharani. What is Radharani? She is bhakti. So having that sensuous enjoyment mentality in the garb of devotion. So that is one. Another is the tendency of this puja la pratishtha. I am so great. I should be the enjoyer. I should be glorified. I am greater than others. Because when Krishna and Balaram were all these gopis, Shankachuda, why he was taking away the gopis, I should be enjoying. Right? They are like my property. So that's what this Shankachuda represents. The tendency for fame, glorification, considering oneself to be better than others. In our bhakti also, we need to be very careful about that mentality, that tendency. Sometimes we get that tendency starting thinking, I have become better than others. I should be given more respect. I should be given more glorification. When we come in process of bhakti, we are so gentle, we are so humble in front of senior devotees. We pay obeisances. As we also mature little bit in the process of bhakti, we start thinking, now I also have progressed. 3, 4, 5 years now I have become senior. Just understand it with one example. In the music industry, let's say if some new struggling star comes, right, a singer, and he goes to a very famous singer and he falls on his feet. You are such a great singer, I want to learn lessons from you, please give me some guidance how I can make my career. So in the beginning they are very gentle, very humble, they will go fall in their feet, and few years down the line when they also become little bit established, now they come, rather than falling in the feet, now they shake hand. We have become equal now. We are equal. And if that person become little more famous, then later on हाथ मिलाना तो दूर, फिर दूसरे दूर से हाथ ही करते. How are you? Are you all right? And this person who had helped him so much, if this person has some little task for this guy, he needs some help, and this guy, yeah, coming, hold on, wait. So this is how people change, right? As they become little progress, little grow in the particular field. So in devotion also it can happen. In the process of bhakti also that can happen. Earlier, we are so gentle, so humble with when we come as a newcomer. We respect everybody so nicely. Then slowly somebody start thinking, oh, I have become better. I have a little better understanding now. I can give little better guidance now. And then later on, so that tendency is very dangerous. Starting to think ourselves better than others. Sometimes person becomes so much puffed up, what to speak of a devotee, he doesn't become like as a good human being. Right? So much ego comes, so much pride comes in the heart, so much desire of power and prestige, so much desire of position. It happens many times. People get stuck up with their power and position. The enjoyment we are getting in bhakti, what should be the source of our enjoyment? Is bhakti for enjoying? What should be giving happiness in bhakti? Self-realization. In the process of bhakti, what is the process of bhakti? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. So we hear Krishna Katha, we chant the holy name, we do some practical service, and we should be driving happiness in these activities. Right? Driving happiness in service, driving happiness in hearing, driving happiness in chanting. But sometimes this desire for fame, desire of some power and position, that becomes a source of happiness. Oh, other people are coming and glorifying me, so I'm feeling happy. If that glorification doesn't happen, then it feels very dry. So the enjoyment is not coming because of our chanting, our shravana. Enjoyment is coming because of glorification, because of fame. It's like you plant a tree. So the tree the seed sprouts, the plant start growing tall, right? The leaves are coming, it's just going tall, tall, tall. But inside, the roots are not growing deep. It's just growing tall. Sometimes it happens with the Tulsi Maharani also. A Tulsi plant you grow, the Tulsi plant just one stick keep growing continuously, it becomes tall with every little bit 2-3 leaves there, but it's not growing too deep in the roots. And if a heavy wind comes, what will happen? It will spoil that plant, which is growing upside but not growing deep. But if there was a plant who was trying to grow and somebody put a stone on that, so it doesn't get much light, it is not coming externally growing much, but it has started growing deep inside. Right? This plant has started growing the roots deeper, and ultimately it will come out outside also. Now the plant which has gone deeper, if the heavy wind comes, what will happen with that plant? It will survive. So same way in the process of bhakti, if we have not grown deeper, if our happiness is not really because of our sadhana, if it is just for external things, and when those external things are not there, our bhakti will choke up. Right? There are so many people, they leave the process of bhakti. Oh, this person said something to me, this person did something to me, they did not give me the right position, they did not give me the right credit. So because of that, people leave. Because they are looking for external things. But if somebody doesn't get external, he is growing deeper, deeper because of the process of sadhana. Ultimately, that person will be able to survive all these different external turbulences. So the devotee should not hanker for external fame, external glorification. Devotee actually he runs away from this external fame and glorification. And fame is such that it chases the devotee. Devotee should develop that humble state of mind. I'm not here to become famous. That is not my goal of coming in the process of bhakti. But to become closer to Krishna. So our great acharyas, actually, what is their mood? What is their mood? They consider themselves lowest among everybody. Not that, oh, I have become so great. Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written a song in which he says, Amara Jivan Sada Pape Rat. My whole life is so much engaged in sinful activities. Who is saying this? Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He is such a great devotee. He is like the seventh Goswami. And he is saying, Amara Jivan to Sada Pape Rat. I am so sinful. I am just enjoying by seeing others suffering, by finding faults in others. So one should feel himself lowest among everybody. I am such a fallen person. If somebody see my face also, that person will lose all his credit of bhakti. Because this tendency of fame, glorification is very deadly in this process of bhakti. So Krishna killed this Shankhachura, which represents the tendency for puja labh pratishtha, and it also represents tendency for sensuous enjoyment in the guise of devotion. भक्ति के एक्सचेंज में और भक्ति की आड़ में इंद्र तृप्ति करने की जो भावना है, हाउ डज दैट हैपन समटाइम? Most of you may not have that sort of experience, that sort of things, so it may not be very important to talk about that, but just thinking, sometimes people have that mentality, oh, if I go to some rich person's house and he invites me for prasadam, right, I will have such a grand feast. If I get to do a program at that rich person's bangla. So that kind of desire is sensuous enjoyment in the guise of bhakti. So not going too much deeper in that one. There are so many examples I can quote, but you may not be able to relate to that. So we'll skip that part. So Shankachuda, we should be careful what Shankachuda represent. The tendency for glorification, puja, la, pratishtha, and sensuous enjoyment. And after this pastime has happened, Kamsa came to know Shankachuda is killed. Next demon which comes to attack on Krishna is Arishtasura. Arishtasura earlier had given this news to Kamsa about Radharani, and now Arishtasura personally, he comes himself to attack on Krishna. And what does this Arishtasura, who is this Arishtasura actually? In his previous life, Arishtasura was a disciple of Brahaspati. He was a great devotee. Once he was sitting in Bhagavatam class. Say in Krishna Leela, you will see so many these demons, for small mistakes, they have got the curse that they became demons. But it was actually to their benefit. They became demons, they took part in Krishna Leela, and they got delivered by the hands of Krishna. So this Arishtasura, in his previous life, he was a disciple of Brahaspati. He was sitting in Bhagavatam class. Brahaspati came there, and this person, he was sitting with keeping his legs out, his feet out. And Brahaspati saw that. Brahaspati became angry. You are sitting like a bull, keeping your legs outside towards others. I curse you, you become like a bull. So we should be very careful. How you sit in Bhagavatam class, how you sit in... See, in Kali Yuga, the process of bhakti has been so much simplified. Our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada and other great devotees, they have given us so much benediction. They have kind of simplified the process of bhakti so much. Just follow these 4 rules and regulations. Do your chanting, eat prasad, that's all. But sometimes these small things, it can offend others. So he got offended, he cursed this, you're sitting like a bull, you become like a bull. So he had to take birth as a bull. Somewhere in Kashi he was born as a bull. But because he was in the association of other demoniac bulls, he also become like a demon. And all these demoniac people, they were associates of Kamsa. So Kamsa sent this Arishtasura to attack on Vrindavan. And his body is such huge body. As this Arishtasura came attacking on Vrindavan, he is terrifying the people of Vrindavan. He is making such loud voices. His body is huge, going up to the clouds. And with his hooves, he is digging up the earth. And like that, running, terrifying the Vrindavan, he is running here and there. So Krishna, he came in front of this Arishtasura. Hey, you want to fight? Hey, come on, fight with me. So this Arishtasura, Krishna is kind of challenging the bull. Some people have bull fight, right? Fighting with bull, they show the red cloth and the bull becomes angry, try to charge on that person. Krishna is not showing any red cloth or something, but Krishna is saying, come on, you want to fight with me? Come on. So this bull is becoming angry. He attacked on Krishna. Now Krishna, what did he do? Sometimes Krishna like to play with the demons. He doesn't kill them all of a sudden. Balramji is different. Balramji was ek dhobi pachad, kaam khatam. Krishna sometimes plays. Krishna will punch him, throw him far away, then he will come back. Again Krishna will throw him somewhere else. So Krishna like to do little entertainment also. So this bull, he came, attacked on Krishna, and Krishna held on to the feet of this bull. He held the bull by his legs, and now Krishna, he started throwing him on the ground. जैसे धोबी होता है, धोबी कपड़े पटकता है, पटक के कपड़े धोता है पत्थर के ऊपर. So Krishna held the feet of this bull and he started throwing him on the ground. धोबी पछाड़ पे धोबी पछाड़. And finally this bull, he was out of his energy. Then Krishna climbed on the bull and he broke the horns of this bull. He had big horns. So Krishna broke the horns of the bull, and with that horns he started beating the bull. He started beating him, and in that finally the eyes of the bull bulged out and the bull died. So Krishna, he doesn't have to actually endeavor too much to kill all these demons, no matter how much powerful these demons are. So Krishna killed this Arishtasura also. Now what does this Arishtasura represent? Disrespect to Guru. Yes, you are very close. So Acharyas explain this Arishtasura, it represents the pride because of the fraudulent religious practices. कई बार होता है ना, लोग अपना धर्म छोड़कर they don't follow the actual religious practices, they follow some concocted religious practices and they become pride of that. Oh, I'm doing this and that. So because of their false religious practice itself, they become proud. So this Arishtasura represents that. Bull means dharma. When somebody gives up its dharma and takes to the wrong things and become puffed up because of that, that's what this Arishtasura represents. In this world, we see there are so many different wrong conceptions are there on the name of dharma. First of all, we call it as vidharma, which is not even dharma, which is completely against religion. Right? Vidharma. What kind of example? Any example for vidharma? People don't follow the actual religion. They are completely against, yet they are following the opposite of dharma. Right? Doing sinful activities. Like the example of those dacoits who wanted to give sacrifice in front of Kali Devi, and rather than sacrificing an animal, they thought we will do Narabali. This is completely against scriptural practice. There is nowhere this is mentioned, Narabali, and they wanted to do Narabali in front of Kali, which is Vidharma. And sometimes people concoct these sort of things and they practice that. And they become proud of that. Oh, I'm such a religious person. First of all, but to speak of Narabali, even animal sacrifice in Kali Yuga is prohibited. There are certain things which are prohibited in Kali Yuga. One of them is animal sacrifice. Another one is earlier there was used to be one practice. If the woman at very early age, she has lost her husband and there is no child also, the younger brother of the husband, could marry that or could produce the children through that woman. But that practice is completely restricted in Kali Yuga. So there are certain things like that which people practice without following any shastra. That is vidharma. Then second category is upadharma. Upadharma means it takes some part of the religious practice, some part of religion, and people just think, oh, this is the ultimate religion. Like we say, ahimsa paramo dharma. Right? Non-violence is dharma. And some people take that part only and that becomes as a mainstream dharma. See, when somebody is following dharma, somebody is practicing devotional service, he is by default, by nature, he is very calm. He does not want to harm anybody. He does not want to do hinsa to anybody. So he is following that by default, that ahimsa is there already. But some people just take to that ahimsa paramo dharma and make it mainstream. They have nothing to do with actual practice of dharma. So there is no devotion practice, there is nothing, but just ahimsa, ahimsa, ahimsa. Oh, we want to do non-violence, non-violence, non-violence. Actually, if we see, hinsa also has part in dharma. But people completely artificially say ahimsa, we have to be non-violent. And they harm dharma by the practice of ahimsa actually. Where hinsa need to be used to protect dharma, they don't want to do that also. So that is called upadharma. And there is another category which is called abhas dharma. Abhas dharma means it is just the shadow of dharma. धर्म की क्या है? परछाई. Somebody thinks, oh, I am following dharma. On the name of dharma, yes, dharma says I have to do this, I have to do that, and I am just doing that one. So it is, but it is just the shadow of dharma. It's not actual real dharma, because see, in dharma we say there are so many different dharmas as a duty. What is dharma? Dharma is our intrinsic duty. What is the duty of sugar? To give sweetness. Duty of salt? To give saltiness. Duty of water? The nature of water is liquidity, to quench thirst. So all these different things have their dharma. The same way human, he has many different dharmas. Dharma towards parents, matri dharma, pitri dharma, bhratra dharma, patni dharma, pati dharma. So like that, so many duties are there. But if somebody start thinking, oh, my duty is towards my family, my duty is towards this thing, but they do not understand their real nature. I am the spirit soul, and what is my relation with the Supreme Lord? कुछ लोग बोलते हैं काम ही पूजा है, but that is आभास धर्म. It is just the shadow of dharma. काम ही पूजा है. So they just engage in their work. मेरी जो फैक्ट्री है वही मेरे लिए मंदिर है. My employees are like my God. Some people, shopkeepers, जैसे हमारी दुकान ही हमारे लिए मंदिर है, हमारे ग्राहक हमारे लिए भगवान है. So that is आभास धर्म. Just trying to take some element and treating it as actual dharma, actual duty. As in Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning we hear, Arjuna, he wanted to give up his duty of Kshatriya. He did not want to fight in the war. He thought, I will renounce everything. I will go to the forest and live like a mendicant. I will live on begging. Right? He wanted to take artificial renounce. And Krishna said, no, that is not the real renunciation. You do your duty of fighting, your duty as a Kshatriya. Because Arjuna was going towards Abhas Dharma. just as a shadow of his real duty. Here he said, I don't want to cause violence. Why to kill my relatives? Why to kill my friends? अपने सभी बंधुओं को क्यों मारूं मैं? So he was not understanding his real duty. He wanted to take renunciation and go away. And Krishna then spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita. So abhas dharma. So vidharma, abhas dharma, upadharma, and then chal dharma. Chal dharma is on the name of religion cheating others. So many of the cheating propensities are going on the name of dharma. People will speak on the Bhagavad Gita and they do not want to talk about Krishna. And many people are there who will say Bhagavad Gita is actually not spoken by Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is actually spoken by Shiva. To change the person itself. And some people say Bhagavad Gita is not spoken by Krishna. Actually, it's spoken by somebody within Krishna. It's not spoken by Krishna. Somebody within Krishna. Now, what is the difference in within Krishna and outside of Krishna? Krishna is Krishna. He is the Supreme Lord. His within and without is same. So people cheat on the name of dharma. And sometimes people will propose, I am God. You are God. Everybody is God. So just proposing these all wrong philosophies. And they think we know everything. So cheating on the name of religion, that is called chal dharma. Once there was one person who came to see Prabhupada and he was arguing, I am God. I am Krishna. And Prabhupada said, no, we are not Krishna. We are servant of Krishna. Our duty is to serve Krishna. And he said, no, I am God. And after some time, he tried to get up from there and leave. And Prabhupada told his disciple, catch him. Hold him, don't let him go. So this Prabhupada's disciple went and they caught him. And he's saying, no, let me go, I need to go use restroom. You are Krishna. Can't you control the call of nature? If you think I am the supreme controller, then control your call of nature. Why you are trying to run away? Like that, there are people who claim themselves, we are God. They say, we are Krishna. So many Baba, Gauri Baba and all, they will have so many followers, women followers, and they will try to imitate pastimes of Krishna. Or we are dancing with the gopis, they are our gopis. I am Krishna and they are my gopis. This is just imitation. So that is chal dharma. And we should be very careful. Understand the real essence through scripture, through bona fide scriptures and bona fide guru. Not getting bewildered by all these wrong concoctions, wrong theories proposed by people. Sometimes people will quote Bhagavad Gita, they will quote verse after verse from Bhagavad Gita and try to disprove the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So this arishta should represent pride because of our fraudulent practice of dharma. So Krishna killed this Arishtasura. Now this news went to Kamsa. Arishtasura also gone. Now, Kamsa had so much fear now in his heart. Arishtasura bhi gaya. एक से बढ़कर एक सभी को मार डाला. Kamsa, after that, did not send any demon to Vrindavan for 1 year. Kamsa was constantly sending these demons to attack on Vrindavan. But for 1 year now, Kamsa did not send anybody. Shanti. And at that time, Narad Muni, he saw, if Kamsa behaves like this gentleman, he is not doing anything. अगर वो कुछ अधर्म नहीं करेगा, कुछ क्रूरता नहीं करेगा, then Krishna's pastime of killing Kamsa will be delayed. And Krishna is not going to come and kill Kamsa. I need to kind of expedite the pastimes of Krishna. Fast track पे थोड़ा लेके जाना है. Kamsa, he came. Narad Muni, he came to Kamsa. So in Bhagavatam it describes, Shukdev Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj, so Narad Muni, he went to Kamsa's palace to meet Kamsa. Narad Muni is described as Dev Darshan. In India we have a channel Doordarshan. Dur ka darshan. Narad Muni is described as Dev Darshan. What does it mean? नारद मुनि के जो दर्शन है सभी को नहीं मिलते. जो देवता लोग हैं, they get the darshan of Narad Muni. So he is called Dev Darshan. But out of his causeless mercy, Narad Muni went and he gave his darshan to Kamsa. And why did Narad Muni went to Kamsa? Narad Muni went as a friend. So Narad Muni's position is such that all these demoniac people also, they consider Narad Muni as their well-wisher, as their friendly person, very friendly towards them. Narad Muni went to Hiranyakashipu also. Hiranyakashipu had problem with everybody, but Narad Muni he will receive very respectfully. And Narad Muni came to Kamsa also. And as I have discussed earlier, Narad Muni, we should not try to take the position of Narad Muni as some ordinary person or somebody who is trying to make people fight. See, in many TV serials, movies, they project Narad Muni as somebody as a very cunning person. मजाकिया टाइप का, कुछ जोकर टाइप का, राइट? इधर की उधर लगाने वाला, लोगों को आपस में लड़ाने वाला. Narad Muni's position is very great position. Narad Muni is one of the Mahajana. There are 12 Mahajana. Bhishma, Yamaraj, Prahalad, and Narad Muni's name is there on number 2 actually. So Narad Muni is one of the Mahajana, and whatever he does is actually to bring more rasa, mellows in the pastimes of Krishna. Narad Muni also tried to go in rasa dance also. Narad Muni, see, we did not discuss all the details of rasa dance. We just touched on it. Lord Shiva had come to participate in rasa dance. And he came as, he had to assume the form of a gopi. Nobody is allowed, no male form is allowed in that rasa dance. Krishna is only the male, everybody else is Prakriti. So Shiva had to take the form of a gopi. And later on when Krishna came to know, oh, this is not actual gopi, he is somebody different, somebody special. And he told Lord Shiva, now you stay here as the protector of Dham, as Gopeshwara Mahadev. So Lord Shiva is there in Vrindavan as Gopeshwara Mahadev. Every evening they dress Lord Shiva as a gopi. So Lord Shiva came in rasa dance. Even Narad Muni also had tried to go in rasa dance. Narad Muni took dip in Kusum Sarovar. And Narad Muni came out as Naradiya Gopi. So in that way Narad participated in rasa dance, and after that again he took dip in Kusum Sarovar and came back his original form as Narada. And then Narad Muni gave this Narad Bhakti Sutra. Okay, Narad Bhakti Sutra, if we say it's in short sentences, so many sutras are given for bhakti, essence of the scriptures in one way. So Narad Muni's position is very special. Sometimes externally it appears that he is trying to make people fight, but he is trying to bring more mellows. Same way, once one pastime happened. एक बार शनिदेव आ रहे थे इधर से, and Shanidev started feeling, I am very handsome, I look very attractive, बहुत अच्छा दिखता हूँ. And from the other side, Lakshmi Devi was coming. Now, Lakshmi Devi, everybody by default, everybody is attracted towards Lakshmi. They want to get the blessings of Lakshmi. So this Shani is telling Lakshmi, see, I am more attractive, I am more handsome. And Lakshmi Devi says, see, everybody is attracted towards me. So they are arguing who is more attractive to others. And that time Narad Muni came there. They told Narad Muni, you give the solution now. Who is more attractive? Shani Dev or Lakshmi Devi? And Narad Muni said, Shani Dev को बोलूंगा कि लक्ष्मी देवी इज मोर अट्रैक्टिव देन शनिदेव, रूठ जाए मेरे सर पे ना चढ़ जाए, प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा। और लक्ष्मी देवी को बोला शनिदेव ज्यादा अट्रैक्टिव, तो लक्ष्मी देवी रूठ गई तो मेरा क्या होगा? आई विल नॉट गेट एंट्रेंस क्लोजर टू लॉर्ड विष्णु। सो नारद मुनि सेड, यू डू, बोथ ऑफ यू डू वन थिंग, कैट वॉक करो आप लोग। जैसे आजकल मॉडल्स होते हैं ना, कैट वॉक करते हैं। सो ही टोल्ड बोथ ऑफ देम, आप लोग थोड़ा कैट वॉक करो, देन आई विल टेल हु लुक्स मोर हैंडसम, मोर ब्यूटीफुल। So Shani and Lakshmi Devi, they are walking, and then finally Narad Muni said, Shani Dev, आप अच्छे लगते हैं जब आप जा रहे हो ना दूर को, तो दूर को जाते हुए आप अच्छे लगते हो। And Lakshmi Devi when she is coming, that time she looks attractive. तो कुछ लोग होते हैं जो जाते हुए अच्छे लगते हैं, कुछ लोग आते हुए अच्छे लगते हैं। Sometime in the gathering also, some party, some people come in the party and party is over and they spoil the party. And sometimes some people if they don't come, तब तक लोग बोलते जब तक वो आएगा नहीं तो पार्टी में जान कैसे आएगी। So sometimes Narad Muni does this sort of thing. He had to save himself also, and sometimes he wanted to bring mellows in the pastimes of the Lord. So he came to Kamsa. He told Kamsa, Kamsa, you know, तुम्हारे साथ बहुत बड़ा धोखा हुआ है. You have been cheated. This Krishna, actually he is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. He is not the son of Nanda and Yashoda. Nanda and Yashoda had given birth to a daughter, and Vasudev, he took his son to Gokul. He left his son there, brought the daughter of Nanda and Yashoda here, and that was the girl which slipped from your hands. So that eighth child of Vasudeva and Devaki is still there, and he is going to become your Kal as per that Bhavishyavani. And as Narada told this to Kamsa, Kamsa became very angry. He took out his sword immediately and he wanted to kill Vasudeva. Narada Muni said, hold on. Why you want to kill Vasudeva? Right now the immediate danger is not from Vasudeva. First, try to solve the immediate danger. Immediate danger is from Krishna. Try to solve your immediate danger. We can deal with Vasudeva later. So Kamsa said, yes, you are right. You are my well-wisher. I need to protect myself. So he immediately called his another demon. Who is that? Keshi. So he called Keshi. Keshi was a very powerful demon. He was not in the form of a horse. He could change any form. And when he went to attack on Vrindavan, he went in the form of a horse. But this was another demon which Kamsa called Keshi. That you go and attack on Vrindavan, you kill Krishna. And at that time, after Keshi was sent, he called another demon also, Vyomasura. He was also a very powerful magician. You also be ready. If somehow Keshi fails, you are next to go attack on Vrindavan to kill Krishna. So he sent these two demons one after another, lined up, and then he called his powerful elephant carrier, his powerful elephant Kuvalyapida. Kuvalyapida was gifted by Jarasandh to Kamsa. Jarasandh married his two daughters, Asti and Prapti, with Kamsa, and he gifted this Kuvalyapida also to Kamsa. So this elephant, he was a very powerful elephant with the strength of 1,000 elephants. So Kamsa called the Mahavat. Keep this elephant ready. I am going to call Krishna and Balram to Mathura. When they come, you can attack on them with Kuvalyapida. And then Kamsa told to make arrangement for Kal Bhairav Yajna. In the Kal Bhairav Yajna, this is another form of Lord Shiva where they do animal sacrifice to Kal Bhairava. We are going to do this Yajna, Kal Bhairava, to please Kal Bhairava, and we will sacrifice Krishna and Balram in that. And then he called his wrestlers. Who are the wrestlers? Chanur and Mushtika. and Shad and Toshan. Four. There are four wrestlers. So he called them, be ready. I'm going to arrange a wrestling match. On the plea of this wrestling match, I'm going to call Krishna and Balaram to come to Vrindavan, to Mathura, and in that wrestling match, you kill Krishna and Balaram. So how many different plans he made? 5 different things. Keshi, Vyomasura, Yajna, sacrificing, Kolyapida, and the wrestlers. He said, अगर एक कामयाब नहीं होगा तो दूसरा, दूसरा कामयाब नहीं होगा तो तीसरा, अभी तो कृष्णा को मार के हटूंगा. Then he called Akruraji. Akruraji, he is friend of Vasudev, and he is one of the ministers of Kamsa now. So he is just staying there, waiting for one day when Krishna and Balram will come, they will kill Kamsa and release Vasudev. So at that time, actually, Kamsa, he put Vasudev again in prison house, shackled up in chains. Vasudev and Devaki were not in the prison house for the whole time. After their marriage, they were first kept in prison in their palace. उनको अपने ही घर में नजरबंद करके रखा गया था. And when the first child was born, Vasudev brought the first child. That time also Narad Muni came. Hey fool, what are you doing? You let the first child go. Do you know from where the counting starts? If this is the first or this is the 8th? So at that time, Kamsa had put Vasudev and Devaki in prison house. Earlier they were in their own palace, Nazarband. And then when the 8th child was born, it appeared to be a girl, and it slipped out of the hands of Kamsa and took a Ashtapuja Durga roop. At that time, Kamsa became very sober, and he started apologizing in front of Vasudeva and Devaki. Please forgive me, whatever has happened. It is the destiny, Kala, whatever has happened. So then he released them. And now, again, Narad Muni came and he revealed the secret. Again, now Kamsa, he imprisoned, shackled up Vasudeva and Devaki, put them in the jail. And Kamsa called Akrura, told Akrura, he shook hand with Akrura, you are my best friend. You are my most dear friend. You are my best well-wisher. Here is the new chariot for you, golden chariot. You take this chariot, go to Vrindavan and bring Krishna and Balram to Mathura, to show them Mathura, to tell them there is a big wrestling match going to be happen, and they should come to witness this wrestling match. They should come to see the beauty of Mathura. And Akrura is smiling. Saying, he looked at that chariot, because what is Kamsa doing? Kamsa is in one sense bribing, right? Bribing Akrura. देखो तुम्हारे लिए मैंने नया chariot मंगवाया है, सोने का chariot. And Akrura is thinking, actually, this is nice. This will be a nice offering for Krishna without being used by anybody. So this is bhoga, right? Bhoga kya hai? Which is not being used by anybody. That is what you should offer to Krishna. So this will be a nice offering to Krishna, and Krishna and Balaram should come on this chariot. So Akrura said, yes, I will bring Krishna and Balaram. And Kamsa started telling all his plan. I want to kill Krishna. He is actually the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. I was cheated. Krishna was sent to Vrindavan. He is hiding there in the house of Nand Baba. So you bring Krishna here. I will have this elephant ready to kill him. If he is saved from that, then my wrestlers will kill him. So now I'm going to kill Krishna. After I kill Krishna, then I will kill Vasudeva. And then I will kill my father Ugrasena also. He is very envious of me. He is very greedy of this kingdom. Kamsa, he himself is greedy of the kingdom. He has put his own father in prison, but he is telling, see, I am very nice. I am very humble. All these people, they have cheated me. They are greedy of this kingdom. That is a demoniac mentality. So I will kill Vasudev, I will kill Ugrasen, then I will kill all my other enemies. I have my powerful allies, my father-in-law, Jarasandha, my friend Narakasura, my friend Divida Gorilla. These are all my allies. So with the help of them, I will destroy all my enemies. Then I will be the unquestionable ruler of this whole planet. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes the demoniac mentality. What is the demoniac mentality? The person thinks, I am most powerful, I am most knowledgeable. This much wealth I have acquired because of my plans. Now with another plan I will acquire this much now. I have destroyed these many enemies. I will destroy other leftover enemies also. I am the most enjoyer. I am the most powerful. So Kamsa is also making plans like that. I am the most powerful. I will destroy all my enemies. And Akrura is listening and thinking he is a fool number one. Who can challenge the destiny? Who can challenge Kala? Then he told Kamsa, yes, your plans are very nice. But ultimately everything depends in the hands of destiny. Whatever will happen, I will definitely go and bring Krishna here. So Akrurji is ready to go to bring Krishna. So Akrurji subah se chale, sham ko pahunchenge. And in that day, now this is the last day of Krishna in Vrindavan. Right? By the evening time, now Akrurji is going to come to Vrindavan to take Krishna to Mathura. And in that last day, Krishna is doing his leelas as normal, as regular. So the last day of his Vrindavan leela, Krishna killed 2 demons. Who are these 2 demons? Keshi and Vyomasura. So Krishna, as usual, he went to forest. Actually, before even he went to the forest, this Keshi demon came to Nandagram. And he started terrorizing the whole village. All the people of the Vrindavan, they are running here and there. And this Keshi, actually he is a very old demon. उसका पुराना relation है नंदग्राम के साथ. Before even Nand Baba's father, Purajanya Maharaj, when he was doing a yajna to get a son, at that time he had established this Nandagram. So when he got the son, they were living in this Nandagram, and Nanda Baba was a very small child that time. And at that time, this Keshi demon, he attacked on Nandagram and he was terrifying all the residents of Nandagram. At that time, Purajanya Maharaj, he decided to leave Nandagram and go to Gokul. So that's how everybody moved to Gokul that time. So Nanda Baba, he grew up, he was living in Gokul. That's where Krishna was brought to Gokul. And later on, when the demons were attacking, Putana came and then Taranavrata came. So at that time, Nanda Maharaj, he thought, let's leave this place and go to Nandagram. So Nanda Baba knew about Nandagram. So they moved to Nandagram again later that time. And after that, they moved to Vrindavan. So in Keshi, he came to Nandagram and he was terrifying. And Krishna was inside the house. Mother Yashoda saw this demon, Keshi, has come and he's terrifying here. And Nanda Baba already knew about this demon. He had heard about him from his father. So they locked Krishna inside. And Nanda Baba, he thought, I will go and I will challenge this demon. But as Nanda Baba saw Krishna, they saw Krishna standing outside. Now Krishna was locked inside, but immediately everybody saw Krishna standing outside. How Krishna came outside? He is the Supreme God. He can become smaller than the smallest. He can become bigger than the biggest. So in a moment, he just appeared outside, and he is standing in front of Keshi. And Nanda Baba saw Krishna standing in front of Keshi. He is thinking, my little darling child, he is so soft and he is standing in front of this demon Keshi. who had come in the form of a horse, giant horse. He was whining, and his whining was so loud. Shukdev Goswami is saying all the pregnant women and even the pregnant cows, they were getting miscarriage because of this loud whining of this horse demon. And he was digging up the earth with his hooves. And he was so big, he is jumping over the trees. To go from one place to another, he is jumping over the trees. So Krishna came in front of Keshi. He stood in front of Keshi. And then what did Krishna do? Nanda Baba is thinking, I will protect Krishna with my pillar-like arms. I will fight. But this Keshi, he came running towards Krishna. Krishna held the legs of Keshi demon and threw him away. How far away? 100 yards away. जैसे एक बच्चा किसी छोटे से पत्थर को उठा के दूर फेंक दे. I don't know if the child can also throw 100 yards away. In the school time or college time, you may have that sports, right? Your annual sports day or something. Shot put. Javelin throw, shot put throw. Little heavy ball, and people will try to throw that ball. How far generally that ball will go? How far people can throw that ball? How many yards? 20 yards, 30 yards. A small ball, right? How heavy that ball will be? Maybe 10 pounds or something. And to throw that ball, they just come running, and with their whole strength, with both arms, they will throw that ball, goes 10, 20 yards away. Krishna, it is such a giant Keshi demon who came in the form of this giant horse. Krishna held onto the leg of that demon and threw him 100 yards away. And in one throw, he went unconscious. After some time, he again got up. He again got up and came charging towards Krishna with keeping his mouth open. His mouth was open. मुंह खोल के कृष्णा की ओर आ रहा है, चार्ज कर रहा है. And Krishna, he put his left hand inside the mouth of this Keshi demon and choked him. And this demon choked. And he fell dead on the ground. And then Krishna released his arm. This arm which Krishna just put inside the mouth of Keshi demon, it felt like a hot iron rod which was choking. And as soon as Krishna put his hand inside, all the teeth of this demon broke. So this Keshi demon was killed so easily. And what does this demon represent? And first of all, this demon also actually, it was also one of the Gandharvas, the brother of those Gandharvas who became Pralambasura and Bakasura. We talked about Pralambasura and Bakasura. So he was also the brother of those. And he had become this Keshi demon. And what does this Keshi demon represent? It represents false pride. False pride. Acharyas say actually how we should keep ourselves in a very humble state of mind, not getting pride because of our little achievements, little thing we do. One is the desire for fame and glorification. That was, which demon was that? Shankhachura. And Keshi represents false pride. When we start thinking ourselves better than others. For example, somebody is doing Ekadashi fasting. One person is doing Ekadashi fasting as Nirjala or just on water. And he see other devotee, oh, they are eating 3 times this wonderful feast, Ekadashi feast. He starts thinking, what kind of devotees are these? See, I am such a great devotee. I am doing Nirjala fasting. You should learn from me. Austerity करना चाहिए थोड़ा. So he started to see others as low class and himself as very advanced, very austere. That is sense of pride. Thinking, oh, I'm doing such a nice chanting. See, I finish my chanting in the morning. Others are roaming around, keeping their beads, walking here and there. Sham tak unka chanting chal raha hai. When somebody start getting that sort of feeling, sort of mentality in the mind, thinking, see, I am better. I do my chanting so nicely, sitting properly at one place. And ये सब तो सिर्फ नाम के लिए वास्ते chanting कर रहे हैं सिर्फ. That is also pride. So one should be very careful. One should not start thinking himself, I have become proud. See, I am such a great devotee. I am making such nice devotees. Who had made so many devotees? I am preaching, I am making devotees. 1 year I am doing program, I made so many devotees. See, even Prabhupada, he went to America, he had to struggle in first year. I am making such nice devotees. That is pride. See, from where you got all that? You got all that learning from this movement only, from this organization only. You got all the ready-made material, and now somebody start thinking, I am such an advanced devotee. I am better than others. Somebody start playing Kartal and start thinking, oh, I can play Kartal better than my Guru Maharaj. That is pride, and it's very, very dangerous. So our acharyas teach us we should be in a very humble state of mind, not thinking ourselves very advanced. Like Krishndas Kaviraj Maharaj. Who is he? Anybody knows who is Krishndas Kaviraj? Who wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita at a mature age of 90 years of age. And that time as he is writing, he is thinking, my hands are shaking, I am not able to remember anything. But I have been engaged in this task of composing Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he composed this and he is not thinking, see, I am so great. I composed this Chaitanya Charitamrita. He is saying, I am most sinful. I am worse than the, what do you call as, that bug in the stool. So that is Krishndas Kaviraj. Even though he is such an advanced devotee, but he is thinking himself very lowly. He is saying, I am more fallen than Jagai and Madhai. Jagai and Madhai, who are so sinful. He is saying, I am more fallen than Jagai and Madhai. Basically, the mind, the mentality should be keeping ourselves very humble. Everybody else is better than me. Everybody else is more advanced than me. I am the most sinful. I am nowhere qualified. I am useless. If one develops that mindset, then one can faster progress in the path of bhakti. This desire for glorification, this is compared like in scriptures, it is compared like, what is the sewer, pig called in Sanskrit? Shukar. So this desire for fame and glorification is compared Shukrera Vishtha, Pratishtera Shukrera Vishtha. This glorification, fame is like the stool of the pig. You could have said stool of some other animal also. But it's comparing with the stool of the pig. Why? See, everybody else, they eat something and they make stool. सब लोग कुछ ना कुछ खा के मल बनाते हैं. सुअर क्या करता है? मल खा के मल बनाता है. The most fallen, most wretched. So that's why Pratishtha is compared like that. And same way, thinking ourselves to be more advanced than others. See, I have become so wonderful. I have become better than others. It's very dangerous disease. Prabhupada He once he was asked by a reporter, so you are the leader of this organization, so are you God? Well, I am not God. I am a devotee of God. And Prabhupada moved and he came back. Actually, I am not a devotee. I am trying to be a devotee of Krishna. So that's how we should address ourselves. I am trying to become a devotee. I'm not a devotee. I'm trying to become a devotee. I'm trying to become the servant. I'm trying to become the servant of the servant. When we write some message, some email sent to some devotees, at the bottom, what we say? You are a humble servant or you are aspiring servant. So it's not just to write to say, that's how the mood we should try to cultivate. You're trying to be your aspiring servant, trying to be your humble servant. So that is Keshi. Krishna killed Keshi. And because this desire for fame, glorification, how does it come? Open from the mouth, right? People open their mouth and from the mouth this glorification comes. So this horse, this Keshi is coming with keeping his mouth open and Krishna choked up the mouth. जिस जो मुंह खुला आ रहा है पहले तो इसको मुंह को ही बंद करो. So after that, after this Keshi demon is killed, 1:37, it's quite late. So another 10 minutes, I will briefly mention about this and we'll stop here. So Krishna, he continued his routine. He took the cows and all the cowherd boys and they went to forest to herd the cows. Krishna went on Govardhan, herding the cows. How far is Govardhan from Nandgaon? How many of you have visited Vrindavan? See, Vrindavan, it is a shape of a lotus. Right? It's compared as the shape of a lotus. So there is Barsana, Nandgaon, Vrindavan, Gokul, Kamyavan. So many different places are there. So from Nandgaon to Govardhan, it is about 30 kilometers. Okay. So Krishna went to Govardhan to herd the cows, and at that time they were playing this game of hide and seek. And also they assumed the position of some boys, they became police, some boys became cowherd boys herding the cows, and somebody became as thief. Some became sheep, they are playing the part of sheep. Some became herding those sheep, some became thief, and some are the constable. So they are playing the game. The boys who are herding the sheep, the other thief will try to come and steal away the cows, or steal away the other boys who are becoming like sheep. So they are playing this game, and this Vyomasura, he appeared there, disguising himself as another cowherd boy. And he will come and he will take away these sheep, the boys who are acting as sheep, he will take them away and put them in a cave and put a stone on the cave. So he's stealing all them away. Slowly, so many of these boys are becoming reduced in number. Only few are left. And Krishna observed, where did all these boys come? This looks like some demon. He's not a cowherd boy. So Krishna held on to the arm of that Vyomasura. So in interest of time, I'm going very brief here just to summarize this pastime. Krishna held on to the hand of this Vyomasura, and as he was held by Krishna's hand, he started to expand his form. He started to appear in his real form. But Krishna is not letting it go. Krishna is not letting the hand of this Vyomasura go. He is trying to relieve his hand, but Krishna, he held on to the hand, and finally just with one punch, Krishna killed that Vyomasura. Now all the boys who were caught by this Vyomasura and put in the cave, Krishna went, the mouth of the cave was closed with a big stone. Krishna just with his one punch, he broke that boulder, broke that stone, and released all the cowherd boys from there. What does this Vyomasura represent? It represents mind. Our mind is so restless that our mind keeps jumping here and there to different places. It does not stay on one thought. Sometime this thought, sometime that thought, sometime in the present, sometime in the past, sometime in the future. So mind is so restless, like a child. If a child is running here and there, you try to control that child, you try to hold on to that child and try to make him sit at one place. That child is more cranky and more shouting and crying, throwing his hands and legs. So same way, when we try to control our mind actually shows more tantrums. Right? You sit down for chanting, it feels like mind is even more restless. Because it is very restless, it has the nature to go here and there. Now you are trying to make him sit down at one place. So mind, of course, it shows, it's try to assume its big form. Like this Vyomasura. When Krishna held on to the arm of Vyomasura, it tried to become bigger. But Krishna did not let it go. The same way, we should not leave our process, should not let the mind go. Should not get into the pleas of the mind. One should not think what the mind is proposing. Now Yogendra Maharaj says one very beautiful sentence. He says, इस मलिन मन की सब बातें बेकार हैं. Our mind is like very dirty. And whatever this mind is proposing, everything is useless. इस मलिन मन की सब बातें बेकार हैं. So one should not try to hear what the mind is proposing. Mind will give you many different ideas. Mind will say, hey, you have been chanting every day morning 5 o'clock. Now it's okay, take a break. Once in a while it's okay, you can sleep extra, you can take a break. You are going to temple every Sunday. That's okay, take a break. Or you are hearing every day. That's okay, take a break. You go to satsang program every day, that's okay, take a break. Mind will propose many different things. So don't get into the talks of the mind. Don't hear to the mind. We need to control our mind. Right now our mind is not our friend. Our mind is our enemy. We need to transfer this mind to our friend. And how powerful this mind is, how it's like mind is compared like a monkey. Monkey's nature. What is monkey's nature? Monkey jumps from one branch to another. It doesn't stay quietly on one place. And monkey is anyways restless. Now just imagine that monkey is fed some liquor. Monkey को किसी ने शराब पिला दिया. उस monkey का क्या होगा? What will happen to that monkey? Now it's even more restless. नशे में वो monkey इधर उधर और झूम रहा है. ऊपर से now you put fire on the tail of that monkey. Even more restless. Now jumping more fast here and there. Our mind is like that. Our mind is anyways restless. Going in future, past, pendulum like it's going here and there. On top of that, mind has become intoxicated because of pride. Right? There is so much of things because of which we get pride. Oh, I am better, I am this, I am that. So there is pride. Mind is intoxicated with pride. And then mind is burning with envy. There is envy in the heart towards other people. Oh, why they are like that? Why they do like that? Why he is becoming more advanced? Why he is doing this? So there is envy also. So mind is restless. On top of it's proud. On top of that there is envy. So mind right now is not our friend. And if you listen to mind, you are gone. So better is to hold on to the mind, make it sit down. You do your sadhana, you do your practice. And slowly, the mind will come under your control. You don't get into the pleas of mind. So mind in its sleep will die. You don't have to keep listening to the mind once in a while. Chalo abhi dekhta hu. Oh, now I can control my senses. I am very advanced now. Now I am out of danger. And once you listen to the mind, you go into the little dangerous territory, you are gone. So this Vyomasura represents mind. And we have to keep it tight, holding on to it tightly, not letting it wander here and there. So Krishna killed. After that, Narad Muni, actually Krishna went to Kamyavan from Govardhan. And at that time Narad Muni came there to meet Krishna. Power outage. Battery is done. So at that time Narad Muni came to see Krishna, to pray to Krishna, and he started telling Krishna. So where did Narad Muni came? Krishna from Govardhan with all the boys, all the cows, he went to Kamyavan. Kamyavan is 10 kilometer on different side from Nandagram. So Govardhan to Nandagram is 30 kilometers, another 10 kilometers, Kamyavan. All happening in one day. 30 kilometer first Krishna went to Govardhan to herd the cows, and then 40 kilometer again he went far away in Kamyavan, and it is within from morning to afternoon. Evening में तो अक्रूर जी आ जाएंगे वृंदावन में. So now Krishna is traveling so much distance, 30 kilometer if you have to walk, how long it will take for you? And then 40 kilometer again to a different place, how long it will take for you? Now, does it mean Krishna along the cowherd boys and all the cows, they're just running all day? एक जगह से दूसरी जगह उसको छुआ फिर वहां से दूसरी जगह. Are they running around all day? So how Krishna goes from one place to another place so fast? Actually it says Vrindavan, as I say, it's like a lotus flower. So in the spiritual world also Vrindavan, it's like a lotus flower, and all the different leaves, जो जितनी भी पंखुड़ियां हैं लोटस की, they are like the different Leela Sthalis of Krishna. There is Nandagram on one pankhudi, there is Vrindavan on one pankhudi, Kamyavan on another pankhudi. And this lotus, it closes itself, all these pankhudis, they come together. So all these Leela Sthalis, they join together. Krishna goes from one to another. And then it again expands, opens up. So Krishna is just from one place to another place in no time. Because when Krishna is playing his pastime, this lotus, all the pankhudi close, again they open. So Krishna goes different places like that. So Narad Muni, he came to meet Krishna. He started praying to Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now I should see your other Leelas manifest. How you will go to Mathura and you will kill this Kamsa. Then later on you are going to kill this Shishupal and Dantavakra also. You are going to kill this Narkasura. You are going to kill this Pondrik and destroy the city of Kashi. How you are going to marry so many women. How you are going to release back that Shamataka jewel and get your another wife. So Narad Muni, he started telling all these pastimes of Krishna which are yet to come. Because Narad Muni, he knows what Leelas Krishna is going to perform. And this is the last day of Krishna in Vrindavan. As Krishna comes back home, by that time Akrurji is in Vrindavan at the house of Nand Maharaj. And next day we are going to talk about the journey of Akrurji towards Vrindavan. While he is coming on the chariot to Vrindavan, as he comes closer to Vrindavan, he sees the footprints of Krishna. He gets down from his chariot, he starts paying obeisances. And how he convinces Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maiya to send Krishna to Vrindavan. And what is the situation of all the gopis? When they hear that Krishna is going to Vrindavan, they are calling Akrur. Your name is Akrur, but you are very cruel. आपका नाम अक्रूर है पर आप बड़े क्रूर हो. आप कृष्णा को लेने के लिए आए हो. You are so cruel. So all that exchanges, what is going to happen, we'll discuss it in the next session. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय.